ritual. So how bhakti is more than just a ritual. And please, if you have some questions, you can note them down or keep them in your mind. In the end, we will have some time for question answers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Could I please ask, can you come in front? It's not very inspiring to have an empty space in front. You can come and maybe move these ones away, or just come on those ones. It makes more sense. Thank you. So, the topic, first I'm going to offer my respects to my Gurudev before I start, and to the line of gurus in disciplic succession. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutaya Shrimati Tamal Krishna Goswami Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutaya Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Srinavadi Pashkachadi Shatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shivata Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Agyanati Vinandasya Gyanagana Shalakya Chakshur Umitam Yena Tasmai Shiguru Namaha Mukham Koti Vachalam Pangom Langarati Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. So Hare Krishna, everybody, welcome. Thank you for coming. So today we will speak about bhakti as much as we can, because bhakti is a very deep topic. We would like to could you please, yes, close the door? Thank you. We would like to place bhakti, actually. So before I do that, I'm going to read a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 3. Manushanam sahasreshu kashchid yatati siddhaye. Yatatam api siddhanam kashchin mam veti tatvataha. It means, that was Sanskrit, by the way. It means out of many thousands of men, out of many thousands among men. Let's try to hear and digest how and picture in our mind. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. This is Krishna speaking. And nobody's here for the first time, right? No. Everybody knows the Bhagavad Gita. Everybody knows Krishna. So let's kind of place, first of all, what is religion, what is bhakti, what is faith. So we start with what is religion. So the definition of religion is the belief in and worship of superpowers, like godly powers, especially a god or gods. And religion can also be synonym with faith or belief. But actually, belief is different from faith. Belief is something that we take to be true. It's not something we will really trust. It's not something we will rely on. We just I have a belief. It maybe I trust it, maybe I rely on it, maybe not. That's belief. So it's very, very weak in terms of I believe in God. It's a very weak statement. Faith is something very interesting. We are all born with faith. Faith is defined as trust in something, someone, some process. What does it mean that we're all born with faith? We all have a certain trust that is inherent in us, that we can put in some process, people, things, and we can choose the intensity of the faith. We can also choose when we put faith, when we remove the faith. And we can understand that by drawing from our own experience. For instance, so many times we put faith maybe in things, people that constantly betray us or hurt us. But we keep on doing it. It is independent of experience, as we can see. We have faith. We put it in things that is sometimes constantly betraying us. But we keep on putting it, this faith. It means faith is independent of our experience, something we are born with, very inherent. And faith is the only element that we have that can access the spiritual. Let's try to digest that. It can be very complicated, especially if you're new. It's philosophy. But you see, really, spiritual practice without some kind of philosophy is sentimental. There's no basis to it. So we try to understand faith. So I think it's kind of clear. We all have faith. We are all born with faith. And we can choose to put faith in whatever we want, whatever we want, whoever we want. We can choose the intensity of that faith, deep or shallow. Now, that's faith. We talked about belief. It's very, very weak. Now let's talk about religion. What is religion? Religion is something. Where did I put that now? Religion is inherited according to the circumstances and structure, social structure, where we are born, most of the time. That's why we talk so many times, this Hare Krishna movement, the practice of Hare Krishna chanting, spirituality has nothing to do with religion. It is beyond and above social structure. Religion can be given to us by society, by where we are born, the circumstances. It can also be self-made. We create our own religion. For instance, if many of you know the Bhagavad Gita, there's Krishna, there's Arjuna. Arjuna is on the chariot. He's about to fight his cousins, his brothers, his uncles, his grandfather, who he loves very, very much. His grandfather also loved him very, very much. But he's about to fight them, to kill them. And that's the reason why we have the Bhagavad Gita when he tells Krishna, I will not fight. Because here, assembled in front of me, is all these personalities with whom I have so much affection for. And so then comes a big discussion. And let's go past the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is spoken. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mahabharata, self-created religion, what it is. So there's the Mahabharata. So Krishna has already spoken the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna and Arjuna is convinced, I'm going to fight. I am ready to fight. Let's fight. So there's 18 days of the fight, and one of the days, Yudhishthira is his elder brother. And on the other side, there was a very prominent archer also called Karna. And Karna was very powerful. He was on the side of the Kauravas, which is enemy of Arjuna. And he came and he insulted Arjuna's elder brother, Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira felt very hurt. And he was tired. And he came back to camp. At the same time, at that time, you would wage war only during the day. At night, everybody would not wage war. They would go to their camp. So, because Yudhishthira was tired, had been insulted, he was hurt, he went back to his camp. And at the same time, Arjuna and Krishna came to camp. And when Yudhishthira saw Arjuna, he reacted in a very aggressive way, which is very contrary to his nature. He told Arjuna, what is the use of your bow? He had a special bow. Arjuna had a bow called Gandiva given to him by the King of Heavens. And it was a very powerful bow. What is the use of your bow? You had promised me that you're going to kill all those enemies. But here you are. Better you give your bow away. And Arjuna had made a secret vow. That's a self-made religion. He had vowed that whoever insults my Gandiva, his bow was called Gandiva, I will behead that person. So as soon as Yudhishthira spoke, Arjuna remembered his vow. He took his sword and prepared himself to behead his brother, to chop off the head of his elder brother. And Krishna immediately spoke and said, what are you doing here? Where are you going with this sword? And Arjuna said, Krishna, I had made a vow. Whoever insults my Gandiva, I'm going to behead him. Krishna said, but you also made a vow that you're going to give your brother the whole kingdom. So what are you talking about? What is all this religion that you make up? It has nothing to do with reality. So, coming back, so we have religion given to us by social structure. Wherever we are born, we have self-made religion that we impose upon us. That's just one of the examples. We have, many of us, we have vows that we take and we stand by it, even at the detriment of maybe health or relationships or whatever. So I'm just going to speak a little bit more about religion. Religion is normally based strictly on rituals, on dogmas. It's followed for specific results. It's a bit like a business transaction. I'm going to go to God, I'm going to pray, and I want something. And I hope for something in return. I may do something for God, as if God needs something from us, but I may not. So we know, like for instance, in the Hindu culture, people will do a fire yagya, or will feed poor people, will open hospitals, will open ashrams, will, do a lot of good work in return for something from God. That is not spiritual. That is falls in the category of religion. Or sometimes people take very strict vows, like it's Kartik month. I will only eat sweets, or I will only eat once a day, or I will only do whatever, because I want a certain result. I know, for instance, a long time ago, I wasn't staying in Vrindavan. One of my friends, during the month of Kartik, that's one month, she made a vow she's going to eat only khichdi for the whole month, once a day. Khichdi with only dal and rice, with no vegetables in there. And the reason why she did that, we are in Vrindavan, it's the month of Kartik. It could be for a spiritual reason, but she wanted a good husband. That's the reason why she did that. And she did it. And I don't know if she got a good husband. But you see, these are rituals that we do. We do austerities, we do sacrifice for something in return. That's part of religion. Religion can also, we go to temples, we go to churches, wherever we go, because we also want good, comfortable life in this lifetime. We want a good house, good family, good children, good job, good everything, comfortable, comfort. And it has nothing to do with spirituality, nothing. How do we know that? Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, when I especially like someone, what do? I give him troubles. Now, do we want such a God? Do we? When I especially like someone, I give him troubles. I may take everything away from the person. Because Krishna wants our attention, our affection, our love for him alone. See, we start to understand, it starts to emerge how bhakti is completely completely different from what we know is religion. Bhakti is actually based on love. Religion is based on transaction, business transactions. And we also do things to religious sacrifices or austerities because maybe we want our obstacles to be destroyed, or we are promised some heavenly destination. Oftentimes, religion, faith in religion, is based on blind faith. There's not much logic to it. And if we question, we are heretics. Normally there's an absence of philosophy. And for deep thinkers, religious doctrine can seriously lack logic. And the result, if we do not have logic, the result can be fanaticism, where we exclude those who are different. Extreme fanaticism can even reject the right of existence of others. So that's religion. We've dealt with that. Now we come to what is bhakti. We've spoken about faith. We also understand, let's give a definition before we go to bhakti. We try to define faith. So we understood faith is deep trust. And it doesn't matter whether whatever we're trusting in fails us or not. We keep on putting our faith in that particular thing. So faith is the only instrument for us. We are limited. Human beings, we are very limited. I'm sitting here talking to you. I don't even know what's going on behind my head. If there's dirt on my nose, I can't even see it. I'm so limited. Senses are limited. Everything is limited. Beyond all that, we take birth. We stay for some time. We may procreate. We dwindle. We vanish. We are very limited. The unlimited is impossible to understand. But when that faith that we are born with, we choose to put it in the right place, we can actually have access to the unlimited. So God is accessed only by faith. And to even try to understand, to dwell on God, His qualities. And here we are talking about the personal God. Because like I said in the beginning when I first came, we can see God in everything, everything in God. That's like a very general vision. We can also see God localized in everyone's heart. Even the virus has God localized. Every life form has God. Or we can have the personal God with whom we have a relationship. And Krishna is about personal relationship. So if we want to access that infinite, what does infinite mean? There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna has no inside, no outside, no front, no back. Try to see that. Try to see in your mind's eye. Something who has no back, no front, no inside, no outside. What do you see? Anybody? Somebody who has no inside, no outside, no back, no front. What do you see? Nothing, actually. Nothing. We see nothing. But that's Krishna. It shows how with our senses, with our intelligence, with our reasoning, we have no access, absolutely no access to the spiritual. The only thing that has access to the spiritual, which is bigger than us, is faith. Faith is like a bridge between us and godliness. Faith is the only effective link all other methods are useless. When all the wealth of our experience betrays and deceives us, our faith will save us. Now that faith we have established, something we all possess, something we all can choose to use anywhere we want. That's our free will. So now we come to bhakti. We've established religion is something quite weak. Belief is weak. We come to bhakti. What is bhakti? Bhakti is part of Sanatan Dharma. What is Sanatan Dharma? Prabhupada in one lecture, he says, in the English dictionary, Dharma is translated as religion, but it's not. There is no equivalent in the English language, or probably any other language, for the word dharma. Dharma means the nature of the thing. Like the dharma of water is liquid. The dharma of honey is sweet. The dharma of salt is salty. You can't separate salty from salt. You can't separate sweet from sugar. That's the nature of the thing. So Sanatan means eternal. So what are we talking about? Eternal nature of what? Of whom? Sanatan Dharma is the eternal nature of the soul. So what are we? Sat, eternal? We are. We all know that. Don't we know that instinctively? Who is making plans, thinking, I'm going to leave this world tomorrow? Does anybody do that? Realistically? Does anyone do that? No one does that. Because I am eternal. I am. The problem is this body is not, but I am. And because I am soul, I keep on thinking like that. Chit. What is chit? Alert, cognizant, consciousness, fully knowledgeable. Don't we all know that? Who doesn't believe what he thinks? Think about it. Yeah, we all do. That just is. We all believe what we think. That's the reason why we argue a lot. That's the reason why even nations go to war. Everybody's trying to impose their own belief on the others. But we are actually fully knowledgeable spiritually. Ananda, we are blissful. Who is looking for misery? No one is. We're always looking for happiness. Who has found it? No one. Because once we find it, we stop. Because we found it, we're perfectly self-satisfied. But it must exist. Because people keep on looking for it. Since time immemorial. We are Sat Chit Ananda. The problem comes when we are trying to live eternal, knowledgeable, and blissful through this body that is disintegrating and betraying us at all cost. And we know that. See, what is the biggest money-making industry in the world? Pharmaceutical. Nobody wants to die. And cosmetics. Nobody wants to grow old. Because we don't. So, okay, we've established what we are. Soul. Sat Chit Ananda. Now, how to tie in with bhakti? How do we realize this? So, coming back to the verse that I read. Among thousands of men, one will try for perfection. It's what Krishna says. Amongst thousands of men, what does that even mean? What perfection is that? When we are trying to think like a deep thinker, and we come to the realization, I am not this body. Many people do. Philosophers do, to a certain extent. Then we are trying to understand what we are. This means self-realization. We are looking for self-realization. Now, there were different ways of doing that. In the Satya Yuga, people sat down and meditated. What did they meditate on? Paramatma and the heart. They, the Atma, would be sitting in the region of the navel, the chakra that is found there, observing the movement of the arteries, and climb on the chakras to the chakra of the palate. There's a chakra just below the nose. And when they come there, they block all the holes so that they can come out of the chakra that is that little hole that never closes. When the baby is born, it's soft. It's a hole that never closes. It's a Brahma Randra. That's why the yogis come out. They split the body into two. They come out of the Brahma Randra. They attain self-realization. It's impossible. In this age we are living, we cannot do that. In the Satya Yuga, yogis could do it. It is said they lived for 100,000 years. They could meditate for 60,000 years. Time was different. And then came the Treta Yuga, where the method of self-realization was through doing sacrifices. People would do austerities, would do fire sacrifice. All of these, we see the remnants in the Kali Yuga. People who do yoga, they do 5 minutes of meditation. 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of the asanas. All these asanas, the purpose of the asanas was to get a perfect body. Because who can sit for 60,000 years unless your body is really perfect? That was the reason why people did all these hatha yogas, to come to dhyana yoga, meditation. But the remnants are still here in this yuga, in this age that we're living. But it's not effective anymore. So Treta Yuga, the way was by doing huge fire sacrifices, where you must have seen that when people get married, sometimes in Hindu ceremonies, they have like a fire, they chant mantras. By mantra chanting and putting grains in the fire, they would, whatever they wished for would come out of the fire. Draupadi was one of Arjuna's wives. She was born from fire. It still exists in this Kali Yuga, but it's not effective. It doesn't work. Even if we Google time on the moon planet, 1 day of the moon is equal to 2 weeks of Earth. This is science, has nothing to do with religion. Now, try to imagine, if I have a friend on the moon, and I'm telling my friend we're doing kirtan from 10 to 11, you can watch. But our 2 weeks is their 1 day. So what is our 1 hour? A flash in the pan? Nothing. They won't even see anything. So for a yagya to be effective, for a yagya, normally we are trying to get the attention of the demigods. For them to even see there's a yagya going on, we should be doing it non-stop for at least 6 months. Then they can see the 1 minute, oh, on earth there's something going on. Not effective. And in Dwapara Yuga, the way to self-realize was by building huge temple and deity worship. The remnants are still here, especially in South India, where destruction did not take place. The old temples are still here. Some vaults have never been opened. And we can see the grandeur of deity worship, how it's done, even the temples that are built, the architecture, which is impossible to make. But in this Kali Yuga, again, it's not effective because we do not have the means. Before, even to do a fire sacrifice, we had to use gold plates one time and then throw it away. A huge temple like in South India, you have Venkateshwaram or the Nrsimha temple, many temples. Nobody can build that anymore. We do not have the know-how. We do not have the money. People ate from gold plates. Now we eat from paper plates. We don't have much. So what do we have in Kali Yuga? Our free will, our efforts. But Manushanam Sahasreshu, out of thousands of men, one will seek perfection. So not very many people are going to look for that. And which thousands of men that is Krishna talking about? We have to understand also, there's only 4 kinds of people who come to God. Only 4 kinds. The others don't. When somebody is in distress, if he comes to God, he's pious. Somebody is in distress could easily go to take shelter of drinking or drugs or something else. So Krishna says, someone who is in distress, take shelter of me. Someone who is curious can also take shelter of me. Someone who wants money or material comfort takes shelter of me. If the person is pious. If the person is not pious, he'll just go and kill and rob. That's what the person will do. And if somebody is looking for knowledge, he comes to me too. Because there's so much in the Shastras. The Vedas are enormous. There are 4 Vedas, Atharva, Rig, Yajur, and Samaveda. It could take a lifetime to only read one Veda. Now there are the Itihasas, the Puranas. Itihasas are the history, Puranas are that which is old. Srimad Bhagavatam is part of the Purana, it's called Amala Purana. It's enormous, the Vedic literatures. But there's a catch there. The Vedic literatures tell us how to live comfortably in this created world, in this physical world. It doesn't really tell us how to get out. That's the reason why Vyasadeva, the one who wrote the Vedic literatures, he was so depressed. Because he told people how to live happily in this world. And his guru told him, but you're telling people how to live happily, they will not want to get out. So then he wrote Bhagavatam, the Bhakti Shastra, is it's less than 1% of the Vedic literatures. So, coming back to that original point, 4 kinds of men, pious people, will try for self-realization. Only 4 kinds. Krishna says 4 kinds of men come to me. Out of the 4 kinds of men who come to me, thousands of them, that means thousands of pious people, hardly one will look for perfection. Now let us think of ourselves. Are we looking for perfection? Or are we just looking for comfort? A good life in this world where we will die. It's the only reality. There's nothing else that's real. And then we will take birth again. And like that, Janma, Mitu, Jara, Vyadi. Birth, old age, disease, death. Birth, old age, disease, death. Comfortable life, maybe. Happy life, could be. That's the reason why pious people come to God. And hardly one will look for perfection. Will look for that self-realization. Hardly. But understand, even that is not bhakti. Even that is not bhakti. Because what is the second part of the verse? He says, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. We have already talked about that. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Now this is where bhakti comes. Out of thousands of those who have achieved perfection, who can say, I have achieved perfection? Hard, rare. Hardly one knows me in truth, Krishna says. So let's try to understand how Bhakti Yoga is very very rare. Prabhupada did an incredible service to mankind by going to the West. When Prabhupada, his guru, told him, I want to give this mantra to the Western world, it was something unheard of. Try to also understand knowledge of the Vedas, mantras. These were all property of the Brahmin priests in India. Nobody had access, not even the common Indian had access, because most of them were illiterate. Just like in the Western culture, the Renaissance was when the church separated from the kings. The church used to rule the kings before. And when the king saw these guys are just like us, they're living like kings, better than us. They're supposed to be religious people. It was the same thing. So the Brahmanas were ruling society. They would not give the knowledge to outside common people. Only one born in a Brahmin family would have access to this knowledge. But 500 years ago, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started the Sankirtan movement, that was civil disobedience. The Brahmanas were very disturbed and very upset. He brought the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on the streets of Bengal, from where it went all over on the streets of India. And when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells Prabhupada, I have a desire to give this mantra to the Western world. Can you imagine the depth of compassion that makes someone do that? That Prabhupada, at the age of 70, I don't know, unless we hit 60, we cannot really digest what that means. At an old age, he goes on a ship, he suffers 2 heart attacks, and he arrives in America. For 1 year, nothing happens. When he goes to New York and he starts chanting outside, basically Harinam, with a couple of followers he had, under this tree in New York. This park is still here. It was a park where in the 1960s there were a lot of elm trees. I don't know what is elm in German. You know what is elm in German? E-L-M? I know it's got a German word. I don't know the equivalent. All of them died, except for the one where Prabhupada was sitting under and was chanting. And the New York mayor, the New York whatever government, whatever they're called, they put a plaque commemorating that this is where the Hare Krishna movement was started. That tree survived. So, did you see? Ulme. Hane Ulme. It exists in Switzerland? Yeah? Okay, an Ulme tree in Tompkins Square Park. All of them died but for one. So, bhakti starts from a completely different level. Completely different. We have no clue even. All we have to do is put faith in the mantra that we chant. Even if we're chanting in the beginning because we want shelter, because we want material progress, because we're curious, because we want knowledge, whatever the reason. Akama sarva kamova moksha karma udaradi tivena bhakti yogena. It doesn't matter. Whatever the reason, we try to put faith. And in the beginning, it's quite easy. It's new. And why is it easy? Because when we start chanting with that kind of faith, immediately one thing happens. It's called kleshagni. It means all of a sudden, what goes on in this material world, in this created physical world, doesn't affect us anymore. Not that we don't care, it's just that we are detached. It was not here yesterday, it's here today, it will be gone tomorrow. In 10 years' time, nobody will talk about whatever is going on. So we don't take it that seriously. That's the first thing that happened, kleshagni. We are liberated from material miseries. But after a while of chanting, we may think we become stagnant. And this is with good reason. Because we may think we're not going anywhere. We chant Hare Krishna, we can uncover our spiritual identity. But where is the spiritual identity? How many years will it take? How much time will it take? How much chanting must I do? We don't know. But then we go to the verses that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind. Chitto Darpana Marjanam. Just this first part. This first part is actually quite deep. Cheto comes from the word chetan. It means consciousness. Darpana means mirror. Marjanam means to clean. So Chitta Darpana Marjanam means this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is cleaning the mirror of the heart. Now try to understand. The words are very precise. What does mirror imply? Reflection. Who? Of whom? Consciousness. What is consciousness? The soul. And who else? And the super soul. So by cleaning the mirror of that heart, the soul and the super soul start to become visible. So, cleaning from what is the dirt? It's called dust accumulated for countless of lifetimes. What are those dust? What is karma, as a matter of fact? How do we even fabricate karma? What are these dust that we are talking about that is keeping us in this material creation? The dust are sanskaras. Sanskar means impressions. So every time, let's say we walk on the road, maybe somebody likes cars. Maybe somebody sees the latest BMW or Mercedes and thinks, wow, maybe I will work enough to buy one of those. That's an impression that's created. That's a dust. It goes in the heart. Sometime, somewhere in one lifetime, we will get that car. Like that, whatever impressions, whatever we see, that we develop a little bit of desire, these are the countless of lifetimes of accumulated dust. So which means, without chanting Hare Krishna, there's very little chance. Because we will have to take birth again and again just to live out our desires. See what Krishna is doing, when he explains in the Bhagavad Gita. Ye tamam prapadyante. As we surrender unto him, he rewards us accordingly. It's not only surrender in bhakti. It also means whatever we are desiring, Krishna is fulfilling. When we create enough sukriti, enough pious credits, then we get that what we are desiring. It could be this lifetime, it could be other lifetimes. But it means we will take birth so many times. When we chant Hare Krishna, we are cleaning away those dust. So it's a little bit like, there's an analogy. I, the soul, I'm a bird. My body is a cage. Each dust, not each handful of dust, each dust is a box. And like that, I have countless of lifetimes with innumerable particles of dust. So there are innumerable boxes covering me. And I cry. I say, oh, please, someone help me. It's so dark in here. I'm alone. I'm afraid. And somebody walking next to me hears my cries and says, I will help you. just have faith and starts to open the boxes one by one. And after a time, I say, but this is useless. Nothing's changing. It's still dark in here. Nothing has changed. But from our perspective, nothing has changed. But from the other person's perspective, so much, countless of karma is being offloaded. So that's where faith comes in the process. And at the same time, because it is not a dull, a lifeless process, Krishna is real. He's a person. He's a person, Prabhupada says he's a person, not quite like us, because he's all spiritual, but like us also. So we can have a relationship. So we do get a reciprocation from Krishna for us to continue. Like for us, some of us who've been practicing, let's say chanting, for many years. Sometimes we have festivals where everybody's very busy. There's no time. And you can't finish your rounds. Now let's say it's 11 o'clock at night. I have 4 rounds left. Do I go to sleep or do I finish my 4 rounds? Depending on what I do, that will signify how close I am to Krishna and how much he has been reciprocating with me. If someone decides, I'm going to finish my rounds no matter what, so the person is very close to Krishna. And Krishna is actually reciprocating with that person, because this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is not manufactured. It has come down. Actually, the verse says, Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. This Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a treasure of divine love that came down in the form of Harinam Sankirtan. If we can just digest this and with real deep faith chant the mantra. Even sometimes we don't chant good rounds because we're tired, we're distracted, whatever the reasons may be. But we keep chanting whatever our prescribed number of rounds is. We offer it to Krishna. Krishna, today this is all that I have. Please accept it. I know it's very bad, but please, it is all that I have today. Accept it. He's a person. That's when we get help. Spiritual life has nothing to do with pretension. Krishna is a person. He cannot reciprocate with something that doesn't exist. Pretension is that which doesn't exist. So the first reality of spiritual life is, I am real about myself. I understand my weakness. I understand the promise I make that I cannot keep, the vows I make that I cannot keep, how many times I break promises, how weak I am, how fallen I am. I know. And Krishna, please help me. When I chant my rounds, please help me. See, from that point, from that level, from this platform, he can help. From the platform I'm trying to pretend to be something that I'm not, some great devotee, some great whatever. How is he going to reciprocate? What is it? Help where? Help whom? He can't. So one of the first things that we understand when we come to bhakti yoga, yoga also means linking up, a practice to link up, connection. Bhakti, again, there is no equivalent of bhakti in any language. Bhakti means that devotion born out of love, that even if the person kicks me in the heart or embraces me, that person is my love life after life after life after life. That's bhakti. It doesn't exist in this material world. Nobody will tolerate that, being kicked in the heart again and again, and say, I love you, no matter what. Nobody will. But with Krishna, we can. Because the reciprocation that fills the heart afterwards is very individual, cannot be described, and that's the reason why we keep on trying to be his devotee, because we cannot forget him. We cannot let him go. We cannot let him go because he also cannot let us go. But remember, there is a process. The process is based on faith. It's very important. If there's no faith, then it will be mechanical. Then what we will get is a shadow. We'll see the form, there will be no substance. Bhakti is about being real and free will. We have to desire. If we don't desire, we get what we want, nothing more. If we want bhakti, if we want Krishna, see another thing also. Bhakti is only in relationship with Krishna. There is no Durga Bhakti, Bhakti, Shiva Bhakti, whatever. When we go to the demigods, there's formality of rituals. Bhakti is only in connection with Krishna. You all sitting here, you all know. We are Hare Krishnas. Most of us who live here, we are vegetarians. We don't even eat onions and garlic. We don't drink tea, coffee, cigarettes. No illicit sex, no sex outside of marriage, even though it's a fashion today. Still, we follow something. No gambling. But see, Vishnu has a carrier, like we all have cars. The carrier of Vishnu is Garuda. Do you know what is Garuda's favorite food? Snakes. He's not vegetarian. So how does this work? Bhakti is incomprehensible, difficult to understand. But to come to the level of Garuda, we go through a process. It's not that now we try to imitate. That would be pretension. We go through the process given to us by the Guru. Why by the Guru? Because he actually knows Krishna. He has seen the spiritual world. And when he sees it, he leaves the process behind. There is a process. Whenever we want something valuable, there's a sacrifice to be made. There's an austerity to be made. I know nowadays, especially nowadays, people don't like the word austerity, sacrifice, discipline. But without that, what are we? We are nothing more than animals. That's a reality. I mean, even in the Western civilization, 50 years, in the 1960s, 50s, great-grandmothers or your grandmothers, everybody was disciplined. Everyone was disciplined also in the West. And then came the hippies. It never stopped. It just kept going down. What I'm saying is it's completely, totally free will. We get what we want. If we want Krishna, if we want bhakti, if we want the spiritual world, then there's a discipline, and it's our complete, total free will. Krishna wants love at the end of the day. And love is not something cheap when we say to our partner, I love you. Mostly it means I love me, you make me feel good. Because when that doesn't work anymore, then we separate. Because if we actually love the person, we would care about the feelings of the person. So we don't really know what is love. We're trying to be real. So I will stop here. There's 5 minutes left. I know it's a lot of philosophy. It's a bit hammering on the brain. Maybe... But if anybody would have some questions, yes.
Mataji, you mentioned the process is in the beginning easy and then it's get more difficult. From your experience, can you give us some tips, advice that we can stay on the path for long time, for lifetime? Yeah.
There's different reasons why we stay. You see, when we first come, it's easy. Why? Because first of all, it's all new. And secondly, the responsibility that comes with being in the material world, it suddenly disappears. And that's a huge responsibility. It's gone. We do not have much to do. Again, I say, it's not that we don't care. It's just that we are a little bit detached from it. And then we are new, so we never knew devotees. We never committed any offenses. So that reciprocation from the process has no filter, because offenses are like films that are obstacles for the mercy to come through. That's one of the reasons. So as we progress, if we have to know why we joined. I take my personal experience, like you asked. I joined in 1981. My first guru left the service, my second guru left the service, and my third guru now, he left his body. A lot of people left when that happened, especially after the second guru left. It never crossed my mind to do that, because I knew why I joined. So we have to know why you're looking for spiritual life. What is the reason? We all join out of those 4 reasons: curious, material progress or money, distress, or looking for knowledge. But at one point, we have to go above that. If we are able to go above that, that's why when we do whatever we do in the temple, for instance, in the temple we can actually do devotional service, not really at home. Because at home I will cook for me the way I want, the time that I want. Oh yes, I will offer. I have deities. But it's according to my time. In the temple we can actually do devotional service. It's all according to the time, Krishna's time. And if when I do even a little simple thing, cleaning the temple, I put enthusiasm in it, I start to get some kind of reciprocation from Krishna. It's a very Shingaratan Mandira Marjanadam. The guru is happy to see that the temple is being cleaned. It's actually like, I'm just taking one example, for example, the temple. So I go into every nook and corner, not just automatically. I have to, it comes from me. It doesn't come from anybody else. What do you want? It comes from you. You have to know what you want. You have to know where you want to go. And even if you make mistakes and you fall down, you get up, you continue. Even like I know, again, of course, you know, we take from the lives of devotees. I know this one devotee in some part of the world. He was married, had 2 kids. He fell down really badly. He was temple president. He fell down with a woman. It was pretty bad. Of course, you can't hide these things. It came out. And the whole thing exploded, so he was kicked out. When he was kicked out, unfortunately, he came back and said, "Let me clean the toilet," even. That was many years ago. Maybe the devotees are more mature now. It was about 30 years ago. And devotees said, "No, get out of the temple. You should not even be here." But still, he continued some kind of service, no matter how he was treated. I know him personally, and we joined almost the same time, 43 years ago. He still goes and does preaching. He still does. He fell down, but he did not stay down. You have to know what you want, and Krishna helps you. I don't know if this makes sense to you. You have to continue with, like I went through stuff, like he went through stuff. Even if it is 16 bad rounds, you chant it. The structure is there. It's chanting, not that I remember somebody was telling me, better to chant 2 good rounds than 16 bad rounds. I thought, no, better to chant 16 rounds and keep the structure of the 16 rounds and then slowly try to purify. Because all we're doing, purification. We are in a hospital. Nobody is healthy in a hospital. So Prabhupada says we should not be how amazed that somebody stays. We all will get tested. And once we ride over that test, that connection with Krishna becomes so completely deep. Krishna is your life. You will never go anywhere, do anything that is going to take you away from him. It becomes part of your DNA. I don't know if this makes sense to you. Anybody else? Yes.
What does it mean, pure chanting? What does it mean, pure chanting? Hare Krishna.
Pure chanting.
Yeah, pure chanting.
Pure chanting actually would mean that we see the pastimes of Krishna, but we are not there. So there is one verse from Prema Vivarta by Jagadananda Pandit. Should I quote it?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good one actually about chanting.
Okay.
I'll just take a few minutes. Jagadananda Pandit is in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And he actually was Satyabhama in Krishna's pastimes. And he loved Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so much that he could not tolerate anything against him, actually. If somebody would mention something that had very, very far connection with, let's say, Mayavadis, he would be so angry. But he wrote a small book called Prema Vivarta that was all about chanting the holy name. So the name and the possessor of the name are one. It means Krishna, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and himself, it's one. And that is the nature of spiritual. In spiritual understanding, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is not dead words or ink on paper. It's actually real. But there is no understanding of this in this material world. So in the world that we live, we actually cannot understand that the name and the possessor of the name is one. He said, we will realize this auspicious truth by a combination of two things. We try to practice purely. Purely means I try no matter what. Even if I fail, I give it to Krishna as an offering. Krishna, this is all that I had. Please accept it. Not that, oh my God, I'm such a failure. I will try next time better. That means I'm trying to be controller. I'm not controller. I am, not so. The mind is chanchala, whimsical, obstinate, turbulent, very difficult to control. That's what Arjuna says, more difficult to control than the wind. So am I really able to really chant good? No, it's not possible. But we can try. We can try even 2 words in a mantra. We can try and offer it to Krishna. So by our pure practice, that's a pure practice, and the power of Shri Guru and Sadhus. And as long as we have not realized that the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and Krishna is one, we will never leave mundane consciousness. We will chant the name, but we will never get the pure name. We will only chant Namabhas. Namabhas means a clearing stage. And our service will remain imperfect. So he says, brother, with great care, try to realize this truth. But then he gives us some hope. He says, when we carefully and constantly chant Namabhas, meaning the clearing stage, we are trying. When I chant, I sit down. Prabhupada says, chant in pranayam. What does it mean, chant in pranayam? We sit down, chakras are aligned. Deep breath, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. It's amazing how the mind is focused when we do it in pranayam. But it's exhausting. One such mala is like you have run 100 kilometers. It's exhausting. But we try. So he says, Jagadananda Pandit says, why did I come here now? By carefully chanting Namabhas, carefully and constantly, Not that one day I get inspiration and then the next day I don't. Even when I don't have inspiration, I do it as a matter of duty because I'm not doing it for me. I already understand I want to love Krishna. When we carefully and constantly chant Namabhas, Krishna will mercifully grant me the realization that him and his name is one through that Namabhas. You understand that? It's a very, very powerful statement. Anybody has any question about that? Oh, that was also very heavy hammering on the head. Okay, we will stop here. Prasadam is always nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpa tuyasa kipasinavecha. Patitanam pavaniva vashavivo namo namaha.
Thank you so much, Radhika Mataji, for explaining the universality of bhakti so nicely. So now you're all invited. Outside we'll be serving a vegetarian feast. And at 6:15, please, for those of you who are here for the first time especially, there will be a japa meditation. Japa means to chant on prayer beads. So somebody will instruct and show how you can do that. And at 7 o'clock we have the Gora Arati, the traditional ceremony, and more chanting. And at 8 o'clock then we're going to have Kirtan with Madhava Prabhu until 9:30. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.